Live. Check. One check. Check two. Okay, so the 6-2. The 6-2 at the unconscious level is very democratic. Oh, yes, well, maybe. When there's three twos there, it's always this, well, maybe what's transforming for me can really be transforming for even though I saw that it wasn't, but it was for me. It's like this, well, maybe it could be, and maybe this could be of value to you. The 6-2 has to embody transforming experiences, and I don't think that there is any better description of the six line being is supposed to be. And I don't think there's an activation of the sun in a gate that has more pressure than to be a 6-2 on the cross of separation. If you're 6-2 on the cross of separation and you have not that had that defining experience that transformed your consciousness so that you could escape the burden of your first 30 years, that you could find equilibrium in the optimism of your roof and come to the point where you can come off the roof as an integrated being, well, we're really going to suffer. Usually, just kill them off. Disease, premature senility, all kinds of nice things to punish them. The 60s are here to be embodied on their authority, their unique, differentiated authority. They don't care about what the other sees or doesn't see. They're not here to reflect or engage in the observer-observed game. They are simply here to be embodied of separation. The highest wisdom that you can reach is that you can get to a point where you get to the first eternity of duality. And come on one side of the duality, we're absolutely alone. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Nobody gets in this bus. Nobody, however, will you know your design. My design, you're never going to get in there. You never know this thing. This thing is totally separate from the thing and those things and whatever they are. And in the absolute, there's no other place to go with your own consciousness than the recognition that we're absolutely differentiated and unique and separated. And at the moment that you get to that far end, there of separation, you immediately see that you belong to everything. You can belong to everything. You can be one with everything. You cannot be part of the wholeness until you get to the extreme. This is fundamental duality. We live in a dense illusion of separateness, yet nothing is separate. So the ultimate experiential process is the experience that brings you to such a deep place of separation that you recognize your connection to everything. It's why I love to go around the wheel. You go around the wheel, you hit all these points, they are all interesting. They're all very different, and yet the magic that they all fit together into this whole. And despite what we can see in anyone's life that lives on any cross, regardless of their experience, they're part of this whole vast orchestrated magic. Six personality make a lot of mistakes in the first parts of their life. So if you get to a third line personality and you make a lot of mistakes in the first part of your life, you're much more resilient than the sixth line being who makes a lot of mistakes in the first part of their life. It's very, very difficult to discover those defining experiences that illuminate the separateness and the tendency in so many 6-2s on this cross that illuminate the separateness and the tendency in so much of because of what happens to them. In the first part, is to end up being deeply dependent on the other. There's nothing sadder than seeing a role model being dependent on the other for an example. And they don't last long. They can't. And after all, there's enormous pressure on anyone who has a six line in their profile. There's enormous pressure on the mutative process. Then we get to the 6-3. When you're a 6-3, and particularly a 6-3 on the cross, you're differentiated and you're separate and you're operating as an example. You realize something. If the example of consciousness doesn't provide what you need, it's a waste of time. There's so many people that claim to have transforming experiences that awaken some kind of insight into their inner nature or whatever. But in fact, the only value of consciousness transforming experience is to lead you to a place of no resistance on the material plane. It's my lesson that I always teach people about the value of being yourself. The value of being yourself, that you reduce resistance. And in reducing resistance, it's easy for you to accumulate the material that you need. This is the form principle we're talking about. This is civilization. And the form principle operates on material. And material needs to be constantly replenished. It has an enormous appetite, this manipulation of the material world. This insistence that all of us our forms have to expend so much energy in order to maintain our material well-being. If the voice had come to me and had me given some cosmic fairy tales and some mystical bullshit and stuff, I would have never told anybody. I would have never been interested. What's so interesting about the knowledge that was given is how practical it is in this real world. how practical it is on the mundane plane. I could have spent my whole life teaching design from the most mundane level of type and authority, while at the same time knowing that this is the most extraordinary, revelatory interview of the nature of being that's ever come down to the truth. And that's not what really makes it important. It just verifies it for those of us that insist on needing proof. But the thing that's so magical about it is that the transformation of the consciousness is actually just about making your life better on the mundane plane. And in making your life better and more efficient, in bringing less resistance into your life and your deconditioning. It increases your material potential and increasing the benefits you derive from your interaction. This is what the sixth tree on this cross is looking for. It says, okay, that's really nice. I've had a wonderful transforming experience. I feel very much alone, but I'm hungry. And where am I going to get dinner? I'm hungry. So when you're up there on this cross and you're sitting on top of all of this, the experience is everything. The experience is everything. Yeah, 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 yeah. But the experience isn't everything. It isn't. There are a lot of experience that aren't worth having. And of course, if we don't have trees that really make any sense because they're so messed up, we don't have people that are screaming from the rooftop, literally screaming from the rooftop. You're spending your money on the wrong thing. Don't waste your money on that nonsense. That isn't going to help you in your life. It is going to help you make you a better salesman, Harry. It isn't going to bring you home the bacon. Oh, how I love the mundane. There's nothing I like better than washing dishes. Mr. Who in his kitchen washing dishes. We have a dishwasher. I will not use it. I'm afraid. There I am, washing the dishes. And with two children, you know how many dishes you get all day long. It's wonderful. It's absolutely delightful. There's nothing like it. There's this assumption that awakeness is some kind of wide road moo in the lotus position and fluffing away in the flower patch. And it isn't. It's doing the dishes. It's filing up the car in the gas station. It's taking your kids to school. It's dealing with the birth and death of a life. Ordinary life. Simple life. Basic life. Family, love, friendships. All these things are part of what we see that is life around us. And we forget that. Those that think they're on some kind of path, they feel like their nose is to the thing. They think they have to be aesthetics in the Himalayas. It's not true. And of course, this is the magic that's possible when the sixth tree high up on this experiential, ah, aren't we terrific? We did it. And it's looking over there and it's like seeing the 45 with its accounts book. We have a minus this month. No, I don't care that you walked on course, you idiot. Do me a favor. Just do your job better. How many husbands and wives have to have deal with their parents coming back from that big weekend, that transforming esoterically weekend, and on Monday morning it's the same problems. We need this, we need that, we got to do this, we got to do that, and you got to do it right away. So that none of these experiences are transferable to the mundane plane. I used to tell the story about the Lama, this young Lama who was a very brilliant and is able to get to the position of teacher, and he's only 17 years old. And before they would give him a position, they would send him off to New York City to work at a Bloomingdale's wrapping gifts. It's a big department store. It's an apocryptical story, but it really is the point. The point is that you cannot bring what you learned into the classroom into your day-to-day life. That is useless knowledge. What I love about human design is that its application is tediously mundane, right down to the minute of the mundane plane, because this is the Maya and the Maya is mundane. That's what the Maya is. So there's a magic that is when you see the movement from the 35 to the 35, and it's really never really what you think. It's simply reality raising its head. It's the reality of the tribe saying the collective, these people are nuts. They're out there fluffing away, and we're down here planting corn and dealing with the real world and the real problems. And in our world, the only transforming experience that we applaud is that you get promoted at work, that you got a bonus from the boss, that you got a second job. Thank you, honey. Fatten up the old bank account so that we can have that vacation, that this, that, and the other. I'm not interested in the global ashram with all kinds of people in tutus with gooey eyes in their hands, hanging out and waiting for the next world of wisdom. These do nothings, these bums sitting there on the floor, waiting wisdom. They left behind their children, their friends, their families, their jobs. It's here in the world every day. The deeper you are in the mundane plane, the more comfortable you are in the mundane plane, the healthier you are. It's our Maya. In the embrace of the Maya is everything. So at the end of this process, what all this pushing to experience this experience that, this is not going to make a difference. And this is going to bring you the revelations you need. And this is going to do that. The judge of all that is that you can survive with this knowledge. Does the knowledge help you find your value, your purpose, your need, your mission, your goals, your material balance, and so on? It's the money, honey. It's all about the money. And now we're getting into the money story, all of us. So it's time to bring it in because we gather it together. And that's the big point we're living in right now. Showtime, big time.